let's talk about what's going on that's big in Greene County. Shane, when I first came back down here, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago, I think back in September, you were doing that press conference.
Yes.
Over in the Courthouse Square area by the Elections Authority, and that seems like a year ago now, Shane. But you guys were gearing up. You were getting ready for all the early voting and all that. How did that all go, Shane? I mean, early voting's over, right? We're technically in absentee land now, right?
Correct. Well, and technically we don't have early voting. It's pure absentee, and then you could have requested the mail-in ballot, up until 2 weeks ago to be mailed to you. Yeah.
How's it all gone, Shane? What's turnout been like? I'm sure it's been large. What's it been like in Greene County?
I checked right before I came on this morning. We were 20 votes shy of hitting 36,000 that have been requested, and then we're just getting close to 32,000, probably hit that by the end of the day, of ballots that have been cast in person or requested by mail. And so that's significant. I mean, back in 2016, we had 10,005 that voted in person or by mail.
So you're talking a 300% increase.
Correct.
I mean, that's really remarkable.
Absolutely.
So Shane, how do you do all this? I mean, do you every state's different, every county's different. Are you counting these ballots now? Are you sorting them? What are you doing with all these early votes that have come in before Election Day?
Well, one of the good things is legislature, and I can't remember I think you were part of it before you left, Tim, but one of the things they did is when you come to cast your ballot in person now, it goes into the machine. So it's tabulated then, so voters get to see that. If it's received by mail, we could not start until last Thursday to begin the prepping process. So that meant we actually took the convention center at the University Plaza, took a whole wing of the convention center, and we literally had 25 teams that were opening and preparing everything for tabulation tomorrow morning. And so it went better than we thought it would because we hadn't had this much volume in the past, but we're really pleased. And so come tomorrow morning, assuming that our high-speed tabulator is in good working condition, we anticipate that those will be the first set of results released tomorrow night as the polls close.
And when, so that'll be the first batch that comes out is all the early votes. And when do you all typically do that in Greene County? Do you do that between 7 and 8 p.m.? Do you do that a little bit later in the night?
It won't be right at 7. It'll probably a little closer to the 8 o'clock hour, just because we're, as you can imagine, we're shift because our election center is actually a polling location election day. So literally we're allowing the last voters that are in line to vote. And then as soon as that is over, they would shift that into our receiving for the ballots and everything that come in that night. So we've had to split it out this year as well because of COVID. So we have 2 receiving sites now.
Gotcha. And then on Election Day, you'll have all those votes that come in, and then you'll start tabulating those starting at 7:01, right after the polls close, right? And you'll try to get those as quick as you can.
Right. Now, we anticipate, like any major election, there's probably going to be a line at some of our bigger polling locations especially. So we think that it could easily be 8:15 before we begin to get back some of our first results. And, of course, across the county, some may not come until 8:30 or closer to 9 because part of the thing is we have write-ins. And so our teams have to go through and they have to tally the actual official write-ins, those who officially declared to be a write-in. And so that takes some time when you have that many ballots that are cast, even with those who voted prior to Election Day, tomorrow, there's still going to be that process of going in and officially tallying the write-ins.
What are you making any? Have you made any predictions on overall turnout? I thought I saw you said something about it last week, but where's your head now on total percentage of voter turnout with all eligible voters?
I mean, I think we're easily, from what we've already seen prior to tomorrow, but I think we will easily hit 75, if not closer to 80% of all active voters.
Good grief. Wow, Shane, that's amazing. That's really incredible.
I mean, I don't need a person that tells me they're not coming out to vote or hasn't voted yet. Everyone is wanting to vote. So
yeah, you're seeing the enthusiasm.
Yes.
Shane, let me ask you this: did you any problems or anything that you thought, we better do this differently next time, or have you had to make any changes in the middle of all this and adjust your systems at all? I mean, this has been a weird year, right? Global pandemic, election year, all this early voting stuff. Have you hit any stumbling blocks where you've had to kind of be flexible and kind of shift midstream? Anything big stick out in your mind?
We haven't hit any summit blocks other than, for example, this year we had to create a call center. We had so many phone calls coming in every day. Did you get my ballot?
Okay, that's new.
Is my ballot coming to me, et cetera. And so, for example, we have 8 people now that are just answering phone lines because there are people that were processing voter registration applications of everyone who, had not registered vote up until 4 weeks prior to the election on the 7th of October. We had to get those taken care of. And so that's one new element. So what we've tried to do is every time we have a challenge, meet that challenge. For example, working with the health department for people who've tested positive for COVID-19 or in quarantine. So we've been working with them to make sure we can take care of them. We've had more hospital teams than we ever had. I'm trying to help make sure that voters who are in quarantine or have tested positive, that they still get a chance to let their voice be heard. So there's been a lot that has taken place this time. And as I've told people, it's a good challenge. We're learning from it. We're going to be better for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to talk about we're going to look into the future a little bit past the election when we come back. But Shane, before we go to the break, where can people go if they're confused about where they're supposed to vote tomorrow, how they can vote? The different places they can a general information source. Where would you direct people right now, Google, 24 hours before the election?
Google, where's my polling place, Greene County, Missouri. We've got a polling location finder based upon your address. And so, for example, if you've changed your address, please download our voter registration application form, bring that to your new location. That's going to make it shorter for you if you haven't a chance to update your address. One other thing I want to mention is lines are going to appear longer than they actually are tomorrow because of social distancing. So don't let that deter you when you show up and say, oh, that line's too long. It is actually deceiving. That line's not as long as you think it is.
Yeah, and at this point, with so many people voting early, maybe the lines will be somewhat manageable tomorrow. Who knows? I mean,
I think
you can only have 100% ultimately.
We don't want people overreacting and saying that the lines are too long. They're going to be longer because people are 6 foot apart.
Right, and if you're in line, Shane, you're going to get to vote tomorrow, right?
Correct. If you're there by 7 p.m., at 7:01, it's too late. By law, as you well know, we cannot allow you to come in and cast your ballot at that point.
And polls open at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Right?
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, bright and early. You've got 13 hours to vote tomorrow, folks. I think you can fit that in if you haven't voted already. Yes. We'll continue with my good friend Shane Schoeller.